Hello everyone, I'm Pete and I don't like MMOs. I'm playing a lot of them recently to see if there's a reason that I shouldn't like them, and so far, no, there's no good reason to dislike them all. I still have a lot to play, so if you want to see thoughts on other games, then you can check out the playlist, or you can hit subscribe, which will make me feel good, and you'll get notifications on future videos. Lost Ark was brought to my attention by a certain squirrel who is also a ninja. Keep an eye on the comments for clarification there. From my understanding, I'll be entering into a hack and slash setup not too far removed from Diablo or Path of Exile. I launched the game and am immediately greeted by a notice asking for players to please be nice to each other. At first glance they look like rules, but upon further inspection this is just a request from the developers. There are no consequences for going against anything written here, it's just frowned upon. Now it's time to choose my class, and after clicking through them I begin to realise that some of these classes are gender locked. Mage, Warrior and Assassin do not offer a choice of gender, but Gunner and Martial Artist have both. This is a very odd design choice. I want to be a mage, so I'm going to be a female. I don't mind being a female, but I'm just a little bit confused as to why I can pick for some but not for others. I'm given a bit of backstory on the mage class, and it's told by an annoying voice actor but with some nice artwork. What stands out to me is that sensible clothing was never an option in this world. Then we move on to character creation, and there are options to customise or there are presets to choose from. There's also my favourite button, randomise, so I hit that and what the hell is this? Well, this is way more random than I expected and not at all what I was after, but one thing I learned from this is that the customization options have enough depth to create these monstrosities, and that's a good thing. Eventually though I just decide to pick a preset and I go with this, and this rather appropriate dress for adventuring and hacking and slashing. There's now an option for a photosensitivity mode, which is a really nice accessibility touch, but it also tells me that I'm about to be overwhelmed by flashy effects, and I was quite right. There is gratuitous use of glowing objects and light sources from the get-go. The visuals are actually really nice, and I walk along this light bridge to the place where the illusion begins to crumble almost straight away. There is dialogue here. It's needlessly dramatic and cryptic, and it uses a lot of words for saying precisely nothing. I came away with the word destiny echoing with a thick layer of sarcasm through my head that I have purposely emptied in an attempt to get behind this kind of storytelling. I need to touch the Book of Destiny now, but I'm struggling to see it because my eyes have rolled so hard that all I can see is my own rotting brain. I'm hit now with another class selection, and I understand this to be my subclass. I pick Sorceress and then become confused because there's no button to accept. So I hit the test button and I'm given the chance to cast some spells and move around. There's a lot of buttons right off the bat, but at least I'm given a safe space to test things out. I already feel like the spells are way too flashy, and the amount of effects combine together very quickly to just desensitize me and make everything feel like it has absolutely no substance beyond the visual spectacle. I confirm my subclass selection and I'm treated to more melodrama, and quite frankly I'm already discarding the story as pointless and stupid. I exit this dream world into the real world where I'm on a ship, and either I'm at the wrong party or I misread the dress code on the invitation because this dress heels combo is not at all suitable for this kind of voyage. Why can't games have appropriately dressed characters? Anyway, I get given an achievement for having my movement slowed by a debuff which has been applied so that I can walk and not run off the boat with the rest of the crew. How stupid. When I get onto the sand in my classy heels, I enter a conversation with an NPC. Only the first line of the conversation is voiced and my staff is awkwardly floating behind me. The guy gives me a box of equipment which I open to find it contains exactly one item, which makes the box pointless. It's a weapon I can use and its item level is 60. I equip it to find that my starting weapon was level 50. What do you have against numbers 1 to 49, game? Do they not sound powerful enough? The guy then tells me I have the right kind of eyes for this job. Excuse me sir, my eyes are up here. And then I'm given a dialogue choice. But it's not a choice. There is only one option. Why make me press this? I'm already pressing to advance to your not voiced conversation. Eventually the conversation ends and I'm off to help someone with a highly irritating voice who needs me to collect some water for him. I walk over to the water and I have to watch a progress bar fill. Why? There's no animation, I can't be interrupted, and I'm just retrieving an item that won't even appear in my inventory. Oh, I get it now. You have progress bars because they appear in other games and you struggle with original ideas. Got it. I can't stop focusing on the fact that I'm walking in heels on sand, and it's both impressive and stupid at the same time. I notice this because I'm struggling to pay attention to the conversations. I'm offered more choices of one response, and it's even more annoying that it keeps happening. Just deliver the lines and let me get on with the game. I haven't done anything yet and you're already making me want to quit. The guy asks me my name and rather politely informs me that it's a unique name and that he won't forget the lady in the fancy dress named Pete Smells. I'm then pointed towards a guy named Gherkin who has a big beard and an even bigger sword. Apparently he's in charge here. Captain Pickle tells me that we're all expendable and we're only here for the treasure. Okay pal, good luck sailing your ship back when we're all dead. Then we're interrupted because he can smell a creature nearby. Not me. Apparently there's a huge raid ongoing in the camp nearby and somehow we couldn't hear it and we need to rush to their aid. I'm not convinced that the urgency here is genuine, so I open the settings menu for a poke around. Who designed this menu? This is awful. The character portrait is the generic sorceress class too, not an image of me, that's just lazy. So I close the menu because I hate it and press on to the fight. My basic attacks do a lot of damage and they're AoE. My spells all hit in large areas and blow hordes of enemies to pieces, and I don't seem to take any damage. This feels so shallow. It's flashy to look at, but because the flashes have no distinct meaning, I just don't care. It doesn't matter what spell I use because they all melt the enemies, making it mechanically pointless to have more than one spell. 2 of these have knockback properties, but what's the point when they also one-hit the enemy? I find a bit of lore in a book on the floor, but it's the same as the dialogue and spends 200 words without saying anything. I get more conversation with single choice responses, and I can feel all hope leaving my body. I'm going to get to what feels like the end of the tutorial before I uninstall this in the interest of fairness. So I'm finally presented with a choice in dialogue options, but it's not for narrative purposes, it's to skip a tutorial. This would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that for this entire time, there's been a big flashing button saying skip prologue at the top of the screen. If I'd played before and didn't need this tutorial, it's so unlikely that I would have played up until this point to need this option. I would have skipped this section entirely. I choose not to skip the tutorial and learned that the skill system sounds needlessly complex, and I'm finding it difficult to care about it. Maybe the explanation was just bad, so I open the skills window and find that even with an explanation, it's a really confusing looking menu. I don't know why I was told to open it, because I don't even have a skill point to spend yet to gain any context. So I close this other confusing window, and now we're getting onto another boat that was 100 meters from the first boat, and we're off down the river. Here I'm given some more dramatic storytelling that I don't pay attention to because I can't get past the overacting, and then we get off the boat and in my heels and dress I scale a cliff face. Then there's a horde of enemies to mow down and we reach a door that won't open. Captain Pickle has the bright idea to blow it up, so I go and get some explosives from the crew. I set them at the door and it doesn't work. But that's okay because I stare at the door and suddenly magic happens and the door decides to open for me. Apparently I'm the key. This is stupid. Obviously I'm the chosen one, I didn't see that coming at all. And then the captain gets frustrated because even though the door opened, there's no lost city. But don't worry, the city was just invisible until I, the key, showed up to make it reveal itself, and at this point I think I came out in hives. I get a tooltip here that tells me to open my map, which I press and a map indeed appears at the centre of the screen. This is a feature often found in these kinds of games, and it's one that I'm quite fond of. But then I look to the top right of the screen because I already had access to a map at a glance, so this is just redundant and stupid. I walk to a door that won't open, fully expecting it to open for me because I'm the chosen one, but then I'm a little bit offended when it doesn't. How dare you, door? Then I have to stare at this red thing, pop this statue back into place rather suddenly, and then watch as the pretty lights appear and splash into the barrier to dissolve it. This is pretty pointless, as in it was pretty, but pointless. Also, nobody walks like that. Why does she walk like that? We get inside and everyone gets excited because we found the treasure, but then a huge warp portal opens behind us and demons begin to swarm us. If I said any of this without the footage to back it up, you'd probably think I was just making stuff up. The demon swarm would be more intimidating if I wasn't 100% convinced that I could crush them with a few simple button presses, which I do, while standing almost perfectly still and tanking damage, and I only lose about 1/5 of my health. Then we find out that the treasure was trapped and everyone turns to stone, and I don't care, because not one of these characters was memorable, meaningful, or even named as far as I know. I'm offered the choice to try and help Gherkin, which I do out of idle curiosity, only to find out that it wasn't really a choice at all and the game is still giving me the illusion of narrative impact. So, with all these one-dimensional characters dead, I'm left with myself and this totally not suspicious whiny priest. Great, I'm sure he'll be my greatest ally forever. I enter the swirling pit of doom, watch a meaningless dramatic transition, and the priest asks, which way do we go now, despite there being only one path. Some of the floor collapses and we're separated. As I continue, I get to this thin beam which I have to interact with. My character balances along the beam, but there's no way for me to affect this and there is no danger of falling off, so it's another pointless and stupid addition. To think they could have added actual gameplay here. Then we get to a chamber where the priest triggers a laser alarm system and gets pummeled by a huge bug and I've got to fight it. It's got some attacks that temporarily disable me, but I figure out that simply running in circles and casting spells leads me to my underwhelming victory. Rather annoyingly, the priest didn't die, so we exit the ruins together and he swears that we'll meet again, and I hope not. Then I do this stupid walk again and it turns out that he was evil all along. Oh no, but he was so... I don't care. I really do not care. I was about to quit here, but I decided to press on because apparently I don't like myself, and I walk past some groups of villagers who all seem to be having the same flowing conversation, but 100 meters apart from each other. I can't help but think I really got what I paid for here. Nothing. More insufferable voices appear, and one in the form of a blonde priest, for God's sake, one prat to another. And then he gets ambushed for some reason, so I have to melt villagers to save him, and then there's a kind of chase scene, and my dress stays in perfect condition for all of this. I save the priest from falling because I have no choice, and we're off to some city. We get there, and he goes to the temple and starts healing people with his magic, and the crowd goes nuts for him. I can make the elements melt demons and blow trolls to 1,000 pieces, but this guy hands out paracetamol and everybody worships him. What's going on? I think I've seen enough. This game has flashy graphics, a crap story, quirky clothing, and I say quirky because I'm being nice. The style is mostly inappropriate when it comes to the female attire, so much so that even James, who recommended this to me, thought it was bad, and if you knew James half as well as I knew, you would know that that's a bad thing. This game could go in the bin. If you have any suggestions for games to try, then do drop them in the comments, and if you've enjoyed hearing my thoughts on this, then please consider subscribing. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
So that was you.